Hello, welcome to this week's Football-Oranje Podcast, available on SoundCloud, YouTube and iTunes. Enjoy. First question in, what would your starting 11 be against Bulgaria?
Well, I've gone with what I want. Not what I think that Danny Blind's actually going to go for, but for goalkeeper I picked Zut. I think obviously him being the only one that's actually playing right now gives me the most confidence in him over Silas and then Borum at the moment. I've gone for a back four with Karsdorp on the right, Daily Blind on the left, Stefan de Vrij and Zut in the middle. I think they should continue their partnership, which was once again excellent for Lazio at the weekend. They kept a clean sheet against Calgary, and they were excellent. I've gone for a midfield of Strittman, Wijnaldum and Klaassen, and wingers of Memphis and Robin and Janssen up front. I've not gone for Dost. I just think that with Janssen he brings a bit more to the all-round game. I think Dost is more a target man and he scores some tap-ins and close range goals, where I think Janssen, he's got a bit more to his all-round game. And I've gone for Memphis on the left. I think he's in form for Leon at the moment. Promise has just got back to playing football in Russia, and I think he's a bit rustier than Memphis at the moment. I think obviously Robin on the right, he's the key man. We need to get him the ball as much as possible.
How about yours, Chaka?
I've gone for Zut because I rate him very highly. He's Eindhoven Darkblood, and the senior writer Rick Elfrink actually rated him as PSV's most consistent player this season. I'll go for Rick Karsdorp on the right back row. I think I would usually go for Veltman, but I like Karsdorp because he can go forward, and his defensive game is improving. It's improving as the season's gone on. He put in some brilliant tackles against PSV. Last week against AZ, he played a magnificent pass for Jorgensen's first goal. This weekend he also put in some more brilliant tackles, and he played some brilliant passes to Jorgensen. Centre backs, I'll go for De Vrij and Hoot. Hoot's very strong in the air. He's won the most aerial duels this season in Lazio. He can also play the ball out of the back. De Vrij, he's tried and tested for the national team. It's just about finding him the right partner. And with Bruma and Van Dijk out, he's the best choice. Those two are the best choices. And at left back, I'm gonna go for Blind. Yeah, I think I thought Hap should have been at least given a call up, but no, I think he's very experienced at left back, and I would like to see him get an opportunity there. Also in midfield, I would have gone for Strootman and Darun, but Darun wasn't picked, so I'll go for Strootman, Klaassen, and Wijnaldum. It's not a midfield packed with much creativity, but whenever Schneider plays, he tries to drop deep and force Wijnaldum to move forward, and he's good at sort of playing with the ball and bringing it out of the back, but defensively it leaves the Dutch team very vulnerable. It would leave Strootman very isolated. His best performance in the last year for the Dutch national team was, I think, away last year was against Kazakhstan, where he scored that amazing goal, and he just looked inspired in that game. And I think if you can't push Snyder higher, then I think you can't play. Blind played him at left wing as sort of a false left winger last year, but it wouldn't work with Memphis and Robin back. So up front, I'll go for Robin, if he's fit, he left a training session today, so just fingers crossed that he's fit. Robin, Dust, and Memphis. I'll go for Dust because he's a form player. He also sort of gives you that aerial threat, and with someone like with Karsdorp's deliveries, that's something that you would need. And I think if sort of the Netherlands need to go direct in their game against Bulgaria, I think I'd rather have him up front and sort of with Robin, with the pace of Robin and Memphis by side.
James?
My front three is the same as Chuckers. I'll start from the goalkeeper. I've also chosen Jurgen Soet. I haven't chose Karsdorp as right back. I've chosen Kenneth Tate. My central pairing is Stefan de Vrij and Bruno Martins Indy. And my left back choice is a little bit of a surprise. I've gone for Nick Viergever. I don't believe Daley Blind is playing enough. Viergever is playing every game. He also has European experience as well. And I think that would be a sensible decision. And my midfield is Klaassen, Strootman, and I would play Wesley Sneijder. I think this is a game where experience is going to tell. It's a game they need to win. And so my changes in terms of what other panel members have said, I would pick personally Kenneth Tate and Viergever. And I would play Sneijder from the start.
Myself, I've gone for Jasper Cillessen in goal. I think for Barcelona, he's actually been very, very good. Jurgen Soet is a very good backup to have, though. As for the back four, I had to go with what Blind picked for his squad. So I thought it was... I wanted to put another left back in, but I had to go with Daley Blind. I'm not sure, James, for example, Nick Viergever, with my choice for left back. I'd like him in centre back spot, but I think the partnership between Hutt and De Vrij is too good to pass up. That said, Bruno Martins Indy did play well for Stoke the other day against Chelsea. He had a quite good match. And at right back, I've gone for Veltman because I think his experience of the national team he's had already would serve this kind of game quite well. Karsdorp is still the better right back, in my opinion, for future games. But yeah, for now, I think it's good to stay safe and maybe even play Sneijder, but I'm not sure where he'd fit in and who he'd replace in a midfield of Strootman, Klaassen, Wijnaldum. Because that's what I've gone for. I think only really he could replace Klaassen, but he has been playing very well for Ajax, so I wouldn't want to root him there. And the front three, I've gone for Robin and Memphis, like you guys, but I put Janssen in the middle. For the same reason I picked Veltman. And I did say last week and the week before that I picked Dust for the striker role, but Janssen has, well, I mean, he hasn't played much for Spurs, but he's doing well for the national team, so why not keep that going? If you think back to Josie Altidore, for example, having a torrid time at Sunderland, but always play well for the United States, that sort of international form, he can carry on, I think. So yeah, no, James, why would you be so confident with Viergever at left back?
I just think if I was the manager and I had a choice, because Viergever can also play left back. He's not just a central defender who can also play left back. And if I had the choice between choosing Daley Blind, who I don't believe is playing regularly enough, or Viergever, and considering how much European experience Viergever's accrued this season, with Ajax coming so far in the Europa League, I think I would try to be a bit dapper, and I personally would choose Viergever, but I'm not entirely sure that Daley Blind would agree with me. But I think it's you've got to pick your moments, and it's a game they have to win. And Viergever has played left back quite often in his career. He also started out at Nijmegen, and I think he should be given a chance in terms of the. I mean, he selected him, of course. He's brought him into the squad, and I think it would be a good opportunity to start him in a game against Bulgaria.
Yeah, I understand James's point. I think he played the second legs of the last 2 Europa League games at left back, and he was incredible there. And the Europa League experience, he just hasn't had it at Ajax. He's also had it at AZ, where they went pretty far when he was there. But I think in the end, I just go for Blind, because it's just a matter of international experience and just having someone that exudes some sort of leadership to a defense that will be a quite young defense.
We had a question from Andy who asks, Blint's refusal to blood De Ligt in a friendly equals why he's not right for a manual role. What do you think about that? About De Ligt being called up, and perhaps the comments that Blint has made about the fact that he was only there for the experience?
De Ligt said himself after the Ajax vs Copenhagen game, he didn't expect to be picked for the Dutch national team, and he said that he wouldn't want to. He wanted to continue with the under-19s, and he got picked, which was surprising for most people, because Blind has picked a lot of young players, but he hasn't picked a 17-year-old, and I think I would have rather seen him play with the under-21s instead. If you wanted to sort of move him up a few levels, I would rather see him play for the under-21s. And I think if you played him in a game, it will be too much too soon for him. He's got a good head on his shoulders, but I think it'll still be too much for him. You've sort of seen Jetro Willems, who was kind of a special player, who went to the Euros in 2020, Euro 2012, I think, with the Dutch team, and he went there when he was 17, 18, and was one of the youngest players in the team. But with injury and things like that, he sort of failed to kick on. I think I would agree with Blind. If you had him with the national team, it would be more of a learning experience rather than an actual playing experience, rather than just to have him learn from the guys like Schneider and sort of have, play with, Dost and Janssen, sort of marking them, rather than actually playing him. I think that would be one of the few things I would agree with Danny Blind on.
I think it's not a wrong decision maybe to call up De Ligt, because he's a special talent, but when there's other players that could have been called up, for example, a better left back, and Blint could have played centre back, a left back being Van Aanholt, Ake as well. It's a big insult to players like Ake, who are very good centre backs. Van der Heijden at Feyenoord, Botterheen as well, said that he wouldn't cancel out being called up for the Netherlands. I just think it's a bit unfair to call up a player who's played under 10 games really for the Ajax senior team, and to give him a role in the Dutch national squad when perhaps he should be with into 21s instead.
I think it was an element of surprise for all concerned, really, especially here in the Dutch media, that Matthijs de Ligt was called up. Danny Blind stated in his press conference that it was due to circumstance, with Bruma being out injured and Van Dijk being out injured, but he's obviously aware of De Ligt, and he started his career very, very well. I think, going back to your point about Botterheen, I think with Botterheen, it's not entirely clear as to whether he. There are rumours that he could be called up in future squads. I completely agree with you, Michael, and Arie van der Heijden, who's had a fantastic season at Feyenoord. But I think it's just one of surprise, really, that such a young player at the age of 17, having only played a handful of games for Ajax, is immediately drafted into the national team squad. I can't see him featuring in the Bulgaria game. He may well feature against Italy in the friendly, but it could be that Blind just wants him to experience the national team setup. But like he said in his press conference, it's due to circumstances that if Bruma and Van Dijk were both fully fit and eligible to play, that he may well have gone with the even with the under-19s. I think they were playing against Iceland, I believe, and so he stated that if everyone was fully fit, then Matthijs de Ligt would have probably gone with the under-19s during this international break.
Which to me suggests that it's even more of an insult to the players that should have been called up instead. Why can't Ake have been called up and enjoyed a new experience with the national team, because he could as well be involved in the future? Why is it that a 17-year-old's being called up as a last resort kind of thing when there's lots more players he should have been picking? That comment really confused me a bit.
So I'd say as well, the under-19 situation is strange because they're actually in qualifiers for the Euros this week. They got 3 games in the elite round over the next 7 days to reach the Euros. I think he would have probably been captain for them as well if he was there, and he would have been under pressure of trying to win these 3 games to get to the European Championship, which will give him probably more experience than sitting on a bench watching a game against Bulgaria and then maybe coming on for a cameo against Italy. I agree with you guys. It's a strange decision. It's nice to see a young player get a call up, but only when in under-19s, under-21s aren't doing something crucial, like going to an under-19 championships in the summer is a good learning curve for these young players. And if the under-19s miss out this week, then a lot of fingers are going to be pointed and say why wasn't De Ligt there instead of sitting on the bench.
I also agree with Michael's point about he could look at other players. I think I raised on a previous pod that I don't believe that Blind is paying enough attention to players like Van Aanholt, for example, of Nathan Ake. I think he's obviously in the job, and he'll stay in the job until it becomes apparent that the Netherlands may not qualify. But I think he's just sailing course, and the Netherlands could very well qualify for Russia next year via the playoffs. That's completely possible, but I personally think that the whole setup is kind of sailing along on a course, and until things become completely clear in terms of perhaps the Netherlands not qualifying, they won't make a change or even to have a firmer direction for the future.
I think if you look at this game against Bulgaria, it's one that Netherlands should win pretty easily, but it's hard to really judge how Bulgaria are doing because they've had 2 home games so far. They've won both of them, but they struggled against Belarus, that's a 1-0. They struggled against Luxembourg, that's a 4-3. Away from home, they've been hammered twice, 4-1 by France, 3-0 by Sweden. Are they going to raise their game for Holland coming? You don't know. This is a game Holland should be looking to win 2-3 now, but you just don't know what the situation with Holland now. There's so many questions about the team selection that this should be a game that we're all confident in winning, but we go into it and we're just unsure, which is a big question mark around Danny Blind, I think.
And Holland were also beaten by a lot of teams that were like Bulgaria and the Euro qualifiers, like Iceland, Turkey, Czech Republic. And in regards to Turkey and Czech Republic, they were beaten at home. And I think the sort of best game they've played under Blind was the game in Rotterdam a few months ago. And it's you don't know if they're going to how they're going to perform and how he's going to structure the team. And I think he came out today and he said he has a luxury, but you're not sure how he's going to use these players. And if you don't want to see the same mistakes made where it's easier to close down Holland, it's easier to break on them because the midfield is isolated. They can't really move the ball around because the midfielders are too far away from each other, and you just you just kind of cross your fingers and hope that he's learned something over the past few months and in his tenure as Holland boss.
The fact remains that this is a manager who only has 1 year experience at club level, and that was when he managed Ajax for one season, and being assistant to Van Gaal and being assistant to Hiddink, and now finding himself in the top position. I think the lack of experience is going to pay, unfortunately, and if I was the Dutch FA, I would be looking to make a change, especially for the long term. So we'll just have to see what will happen.
I think, judging by his comments, around yesterday and today, the lineup that I want, he's not actually going to pick that. I don't actually think Memphis will start. I think he will pick Schneider, and he'll put him on the left wing again, because I don't think he's going to drop Klaassen. I don't think he can drop Strootman or Wijnaldum unless there's a problem with them, judging by their form for their clubs. So I think he will make the mistake again of putting Schneider on the left wing. And then he'll drop down deep to try and get the ball, and that'll create problems because there'll be nobody on the left trying to stretch the Bulgaria back forward. It'll be Robin, there'll be Janssen. I think Memphis, or Promise, should definitely start. I think for this game, it is basically Netherlands' last, question mark in this group, because this is the one that they need to win away from home. And then after this, they've got, they're looking at France. You might get beat by France, but that's a game you don't really need to win. You're looking at Sweden at home. If you win that one, after this one, you beat Bulgaria at home, then basically we've got second place pretty much, sewn up, and then that's the playoffs. But again, I said that Glenn's comments just don't leave you with any confidence going into the game.
Even then, they play Italy on Tuesday. Do you think they have the quality to beat an Italian side?
You're talking the manager is facing is Gianpiero Ventura, who is a very, very experienced, very talented manager, and who they hired from Torino, and he's blooding through a much younger group of players, and it will be a real test for them because you talk about players like Belotti, like Petagna, and Conti, a lot of talented young Italian players, and I think the Dutch national team have a lot of talented young players, but they're not there on the level of the Italian kids right now or the French kids right now, and it will be sort of used as sort of a measuring stick to see where the Dutch national team is in regards to the much bigger nations, and you just hope that Blind can pick a team that can actually challenge Italy, because we've seen games like this for the last year. You've seen the Dutch national team play Belgium and just look very inferior. You've seen the Dutch national team play France twice and look very inferior. So you just hope that you don't see that again.
I was at the friendly that Chaka mentioned against Belgium last November, and in terms of sense of occasion, that was extremely flat. In terms of being a very good Belgian opponent, the whole sense, even for that to be a rivalry, I thought the game was extremely flat. I hope they managed to get up for a very difficult test against a good Italy side. I think if Italy put out a strong side with names and youth, I think it would be very difficult for the Netherlands to win.
Looking at actually Netherlands' last 4 home friendlies, the first one was the 4-3 defeat against the USA. Then they lost against France 3-2. Then they lost against Greece 2-1, and the last one was the 1-1 draw with Belgium. It doesn't really give you confidence that friendlies at home right now against the bigger sides that Holland are actually going to win.
I think the crowd are also sensing that. I don't believe the game is sold out already for the match on Tuesday. And as I just mentioned as well, the game which I attended against Belgium, which I thought in terms of an extension of occasion would have a lot more spice to it, but it turned out to be quite flat, unfortunately. So I hope they manage to get up for the friendly on Tuesday, and the Netherlands can put in a good performance.
Okay. We've got some questions about the Eredivisie as well. It's obviously broken up for 2-week break now, and when it comes back, it will be pretty much Eredivisie every single day for best part of over a week, as there's 3 match weeks within 1 week. Got a question from Mark, who asks, after this week's results, will a draw for Feyenoord at Ajax realistically secure the title?
Realistically, I think the title's already there. So I think Ajax slip up Excelsior, made it gap 6 points, and I can't see Feyenoord dropping that many. I mean, Ajax could probably beat them, but I don't see Feyenoord messing up before the end of the season. Ajax still got to go to PSV as well, and that's not a game that they could lose. I can't see a 9-point swing at the moment. I would say Feyenoord wrapped it up at the weekend. I can't see them losing it now.
I think should Feyenoord not get beat in Amsterdam, I think it's highly likely, but they will win the title. They've been top most of the season, and I think it was an unexpected draw for Ajax away to Excelsior. A great point for Excelsior, by the way. But I think if Ajax win in Amsterdam at home to Feyenoord, then it's not completely done. It's still 3 points can still be turned around, but I think Feyenoord hold the cards in that respect. Where if they don't get beat in Amsterdam, then their first title since 1999 could well become a real possibility.
I think Ajax will win that game, and I think that it will make the title race more interesting. But I also think Ajax slip up again, especially with the PSV game away from home. But I think at home Ajax should probably win the rest of their matches this season. But away, they have a couple of tricky fixtures, and I think their run-in's more tricky than Feyenoord's. But for sure, to answer Mark's question, I think Feyenoord's a draw in that game will definitely go a long way to winning the title, because it's a long way back for Ajax then at that point, especially with all the games they have coming up.
I think the Europa League tie against Schalke will also play a part, because obviously two-legged affair against a very good German side might sap a lot of energy, and that could also play a part.
I think if Feyenoord don't lose, then I think there's certain insurance for the title. But Ajax are a much different beast at home than they are away, and I think if Ajax do beat Feyenoord at home, I think it will be a matter of the team with the least away games that wins, and both teams in recent times have sort of performed very average away from home. And it was interesting to see Dirk Kuyt and Giovanni van Bronckhorst after the Heerenveen game. He used the same word to sort of describe Feyenoord and their performance and the team, and they used character. And that's what the team is sort of driven on. So you don't see them sort of letting up with it so close, especially with a group that has a nice blend of experience and youth. So I think Ajax will win on that day, but I'm not sure about them going for the title after they win.
I think the rest will serve Ajax well. The 2-week break will be plenty of time for the players to get some energy back after all those games. But again, even though I think Ajax might win that match, it will be a very big ask for them to keep that intensity going up until the middle of May. I almost hope though that Feyenoord can get a result at Ajax, so Ajax sort of lose that little bit of hope in the Eredivisie, so they can concentrate more on the Europa League. That said, if they do drop more points at the end of the season, then they've got PSV breathing down the back of their necks for the Champions League spot as well. Which brings me to the question actually from Jerry, who asks, do PSV need to sign more wingers this summer? The answer is definitely yes. What do you think?
Yeah, I think their buying policy needs to be looked at. I think with PSV not winning any trophies this season, I think they've rested on their laurels a little bit. They won the title last season on the very last day with the Graafschap performing a miracle to hold Ajax for PSV to win the title. I just think they've rested on their laurels, and I expect PSV to invest this summer, and be interesting to see who they buy.
Yeah, I think they were certainly looking for a winger last year. They tried Boomer from Galatasaray, but he cost too much for them. ESPN Mexico reported that they were looking at Irving Lozano from there, and I think nothing materialized there. I think they denied that they were interested in him. And I think with losing Narsing and Josefsson and Pereiro and Bergwijn being so inconsistent, they would definitely need another winger. I think Locadia has come back, but he's sort of not enough. Also, I think they need a proper ball-playing centre-back, sort of someone of the ilk of Jerry St. Just from Heerenveen, or Van Drongelen from Sparta, or Hoogma from Heracles.
I think the Pereiro will be a big player next season for PSV. I think with signing an extra winger, they will sign an extra winger. I don't know if it'll be a right or a left footer for either wing. But Locadia and Pereira may still be the first choice. Locadia signed a new contract. He wants to stay. Pereira has been inconsistent, but also remember that he is PSV's top goal scorer this season as well. That's probably not helped by Luke de Jong being pretty awful at times, though. Another point was about centre-backs. I think the problem lies with Isimat, because he's a very good centre-back, but he just has that mistake or two in him every single game where he costs the team a goal. And next to Moreno, who I think may leave this summer, he seems to be looking at a new challenge, especially with PSV out of the Champions League next season, most likely. It's going to be a summer of change, but in answer to that question, I think they will definitely get a new winger. I don't know who or particularly which side, but they need to make a big difference. I'm talking they need to have the same kind of contribution that Balázs Zsuzsak or Dries Mertens had. They've got to be a very good player, I think, for PSV's calibre of club.
I think it's a shame though, because I think they put a lot of confidence in the summer in Bergwijn. I think Braun said that's why they wouldn't sign SDN on a permanent deal. He's getting called the new Memphis in the summer, and a lot was expected of him. He's just not lived up to it yet. He's still very young. He's only 19. I think this will be a learning curve from the season. And they really don't want to stunt his growth, bringing in more wingers in the summer. If Pereiro doesn't leave, you've still got Locadia to play. I mean, Bergwijn might fall down to maybe fourth choice. He's a big talent. He's a big one for the future as well. But I think they definitely will need to sign a winger, and I think definitely need to sign another striker as well. Because I think that's been the problem this season, is Luke de Jong's not been cutting it, and Koku's had no option on the bench to replace him. He's had Sam Lammers there, but he doesn't seem to want to use any of these young players yet. But I agree with you guys. I mean, new defence is going to be key. I think they're going to need a new midfield if Guardado and probably leave. I think it's just got to be a whole overhaul. I think Zoot will leave as well, so they need a new goalkeeper. I know they have Urhus in the reserve, so maybe he'll come through. I think Brian's got a big job in the summer because he's going to have a lot of positions that he needs to change.
I've had a question from Chris who asks, does Billy Bean still do consulting with RZ? And do you know what impact he may have had?
As far as I'm aware, that's I don't think he's doing it anymore. I think RZ at the moment they've signed Van der Brom up to an extension, and I think they're coasting along a little bit. There was a time when the consulting did take place, and it was raised a few eyebrows when it was first announced. But as far as I'm aware, that's no longer the case.
I think it is, but I think it's the same with John Roll that he wasn't at. It's the same with John Roll that he's from at. He's doing it from the US, and he visits at least once a year. The set pieces came out with an interview with Bill Gerrard, who is one of Billy Bean's people in sports and analytics, who also does a lot of work in sort of performance analysis for AZ, and he was basically he basically described how they go about analyzing performances, analyzing players. I think so. I think it's the same sort of with John Rome, because they have a new sporting director, because the last one went to the Philadelphia Union, and they've got Max Huybert, who's a former player, and he's in, and they've also sort of, I think that they're sort of continued on that path of signing players based on analytics. I think you could see how Wout Weghorst, Friday, Bellassani, Svensson, they all came in through analytics, and so I think he's still there, but he's doing it from the US main, and it was just always just an advisor role.
Yeah, I was going to say, just for listeners maybe didn't know that Billy Bean, he's the guy that has this big story about the Moneyball method with football. It's weird how it's gone a bit quiet over the last few years, because it grew quite a bit with Brentford taking it on, and the Danish club, is it Midtjylland, I believe, won the league because of it.
Midtjylland.
Yeah, but it has gone very quiet recently, when it seems to have a bit of an uprising in football, because it had a lot of success not too long ago.
I think in the case of Brentford, they went so far as to hire a specific manager in Marina Staghausen, who went from Excelsior Rotterdam to Brentford, and only lasted a very short amount of time. And I think their system and their methods went so far in the case of Brentford that rather than just looking at potential players, they went the whole hog and decided to hire a manager.
Yeah, it was also interesting to see, because in Football International in January, when they did this whole report on Van den Brom and whether AZ were having second thoughts on him, they wrote that he's not really an analytics guy. So that was kind of one of the reasons that they were probably looking for someone. But I definitely think Billy Bean still has an influence there. I just looked at Bill Gerrard still working there. So yeah.
Back to what we were saying about Bergwijn earlier. Another question asks from David: which players have failed to live up to their hype early in their careers, i.e., not fully fulfilled their promising potential? And I picked Bergwijn already, because I predict maybe he won't be as good as everyone felt he would be. It felt like he was going to be Memphis' successor, and to break out of PSV, and I just can't see it happening. He hasn't been effective, in my opinion, for PSV at all this season, which is a shame.
Yeah, I think you got to give him time, because this was his first full season in professional football, and even Memphis was very frustrating at the beginning of his career, and Bergwijn's been in and out of the team. I think he's someone that you've got to give time, and I think in a few years, once he really gets acclimated, you start to see the best of him. But if we're talking about players that have been disappointed, I think you have to look at some of the Ajax kids, you know, your Kishners, your El Khazis, your I'm not going to say Richard Lee Bazot, because he's improving under Jonker at Wolfsburg, although he's missed a few shots. He nearly hit the corner flag in Emil Heskey fashion against Red Bull Salzburg, and he missed another. He was free in the box, and he missed another one this weekend. But he's improving slowly there.
I think in the case of young players as well, it's very easy to point the finger at the player. I think that the managers they play under also have to be questioned. I'm not entirely sure that Cocu has brought Bergwijn on in necessary fashion, the same way as Basur is a great player. But obviously Peter Bosz didn't see that in him and let him go. And obviously with El Ghazi, with his flits of very good play from time to time. So I think it's not just personally. It's not just a case of saying about the player how the player hasn't developed. I think they're also dependent on the manager. Does the manager believe in them? Does the manager want them to play regularly? Are they giving necessary advice? Are they letting them find their feet slowly but surely?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, when I originally saw that question, I thought it meant in the longer scheme. So I thought it was meant which players have disappointed in the whole career. So I had, Ibrahim Afellay, Royston Drenthe, Brian Babel, and the usual suspects set up as an answer for that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shaq, I agree with all them. I also agree with Kishner as well. When he came through Ajax, he was a very exciting talent. Getting the move to Lazio, maybe a bit early for him. But his move to Lille so far hasn't been a success. He's found himself on the bench. Same with El Ghazi. Both of them probably went there thinking we're going to have an impact, we're going to be first teamers, but not so far. And I think Kishner's one of these players that I think I can only see it going downhill from here if he doesn't sort himself out. Now, what I would have said was John Paul Boetjes, who went to Babel from Feyenoord, but he's actually refound his form. For Genk, he's getting actually rave reviews at the moment in Belgium.
I would agree on Royston Drenthe, but I think again it's a point that regardless of your age, if Real Madrid come in for you, it's very, very difficult to say no, and that also needs to be fully understood, because I can imagine a young player going there at a very young age thinking this chance may never come again. So in the case of Royston Drenthe, there was an awful lot of talent, especially with the way he played in the victory for Young Oranje in 2007. I think he was a player of the tournament in that triumph. But when a club of that magnitude, arguably the biggest club in the world, comes in for you, regardless of your age, I think it's especially if you're very young, it's very difficult to say no.
Sorry, I was just going to ask, where did Fozzie Mensah come from before Man United? Ajax. See, yeah. Back to what you said, James. Do you think, for example, Fozzie Mensah, when he moved to Man United, do you not think that maybe he could end up in the same way as Drenthe, where he's not getting the opportunities? He had a couple of games for Man United, but do you not think that if he was with Ajax now, he'd be getting games, or at least on loan at one of the lower tier clubs?
Possibly, but also at the age of 19 years of age, and he signed for Manchester United in 2014, so also very, very young. I think it could be a culture. I wouldn't say a problem, but maybe a culture way now where younger players maybe think when the big clubs do come calling, this chance will never come again. I have to go. Whereas if they did stay, maybe a couple of seasons to break their way in, that may be best for them long term. But I think in the case of for Sumendo, he represented the Netherlands under 15, under 16, 17, 19 and 21. And he's obviously took the decision to go to Manchester United and obviously finds himself out of the picture a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, I think another one that hasn't been mentioned was Kyle Basilio, who went to Arsenal at a very young age, but didn't find his way into the first team, and when came back to FC Twente, was one of the better players under Alfred Schroeder, and then he chose to move on loan to Nottingham Forest, where he didn't have an impact there, and now there's talk that FC Twente are talking about releasing him, and I think he's only 23, 24. So I think he's another young player that is sort of disappointed. But not that there's any good things about Brexit, but I think a lot of that it will be interesting, because one of the implications of Brexit is that the Dutch players that would have been taken by English teams will now get to stay longer and will now actually get into get to play in the Eredivisie with their teams that they come through the youth ranks of, and that could have wider implications on the level of play in the league and the level of players that are coming through.
I think another two that haven't really lived up to hype. Elia, when he broke into the scene, he was at the World Cup and we moved to Juventus. Never really saw him coming back to the Eredivisie at the age he is now. And a bit of a controversial one, but I don't think Rafael van der Vaart's had the career that he should have had. The talent he had at Ajax, obviously got to move to Real Madrid, but with Wesley Sneijder and Robin still being a crucial part of the national team now, you think when he came out he'd be an absolute superstar, but I think his career has just gone completely off the rails in the past couple of years.
I think he was almost iconic at Spurs, but I think the big move was that when Ajax really wanted him and he chose to move to Spain because his grandparents were from Spain. I think it was Real Betis. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. And he didn't get any games there, and they didn't play him. And sort of in the end, when it was time to move again, Ajax had enough midfielders and are trying to ship out midfielders rather than buy. And now he's at Nordsjælland, where I think he's injured or something right now. So I think people remember him mostly for his spell at Tottenham, but you can also argue that he hasn't reached his full potential given what he was doing at Ajax. If you're talking about Rafael van der Vaart, I think you also need to talk about Andy van der Meijden, whose sort of career was, I think, ruined by sort of drugs and alcoholism and things like that.
In the case of Andy van der Meijden, he's now a reality TV star with a show dedicated with the lifestyle he leads with his partner. And I think Andy van der Meijden, when he came on the scene, and he was looking very promising, and he chose to go to Inter. And I think in the case of Andy van der Meijden, he really, really struggled off the pitch in Milan, and when he was also playing for Everton. I think off the pitch for him, by those two clubs in particular, was a very difficult time, and I think that in turn affected his performances on the pitch.
At least there's been a couple of players who have attempted to rectify their careers when they have stalled. I think the one with Elia was a little harsh because Elia has at least. I mean, he's going to be an Eredivisie winner this year, maybe. I mean, it doesn't mean he's any superstar, of course not. But he has come back to Feyenoord and has had a wonderful season. Another one for me is Nasser Balazit because he left for Arsenal, similar to Ebasilia, at a young age. Didn't go well from there, nor Monaco. He's come back to the Netherlands, Utrecht, and he's become quite a good player again. Perhaps not the level that we expect him to, but he's forged a very good career for himself. And this summer could be a very good move for him because fourth place with Utrecht and scoring goals, plenty of assists, has improved that side of his game a lot. And I think you might see some, perhaps some Europa League level sides come in for him in the summer.
I agree with you, Michael. I can definitely see him leaving Utrecht, and it'd just be interesting to see what clubs come in for him. But I think he would like a new challenge.
Yeah, I think in January wasn't he linked with all clubs from the Far East, which would obviously be a shame if he leaves Europe because I think he's got a lot more potential than moving to the Far East.
Utrecht will find themselves in problems if him and Halle both leave. And if while we stay on Utrecht, I think I just looked at Yasin Ayoub, and I think he's having his best season, the best season of his career to this point, and goals and 4 assists, and he's 23, and he can put in good performances against the bigger teams in the league. In midfield, they're technically incredibly good.
I want to say about Ayoub actually because I think last season he was out of the team because he broke through, and there were lots of links with him moving to Feyenoord to replace Jordi Klaasie. Didn't happen. He stayed at Utrecht, and then he had a below par season for his standards, and now he's becoming the midfielder that we saw before, and if not better, much better at dribbling. He reminds me a little bit of Fabian Delph from Man City. Very good on the ball, dribbling. He can come forward. He can defend. A very good all-round midfielder. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Feyenoord came back in for him, especially with Karim El Ahmadi getting on a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think Feyenoord could certainly use him to just give the midfield more creativity, and he's I think he's also very young, and I think he was a player for the Dutch team at under 21 level, and I think he last season he was injured, and Sofian Amrabat and Bad Ramsala sort of took his position in midfield, and he sort of couldn't come back from that. So I think in a way the Bad Ramsala transfer helped him because he became the key cog in that midfield.
Yeah, I think he's 23 now. I think if he's going to move on from Utrecht to a bigger club, it has to be really this summer. I think he's had, as you say, the best season of his career so far. He needs to be looking up this season. I think Feyenoord would probably be the only club in Holland that would come in for him in the summer. Either he moves abroad to like a mid-table, maybe a German and Italian side, and tries to do it a Martin de Roon route, which might be also beneficial for him.
Okay, a question from Chris. I think it's another one, Chris, who asked, who are your favourites right now for Dutch Footballer of the Year and the Johan Cruyff Trophy? Big question.
I think even though his form has sort of slumped recently, I think Davy Klaassen for back-to-back. he said in his he said that he's having the best season of his career. He's been vital for Ajax, and I think he's improved as a player because I think recently and at the beginning of the season he wasn't getting involved in all-round play, and he was just sort of this player that had a knack, knack for just showing up in the box at the right time to assist or score a goal. But now I think he's sort of improved his all-round play. I think his ability to like ping a ball out of the back to start a counter, that's improved greatly under Boss. And also just his ability he's just continued to hone his ability in the final third and in the box to create and assist goals in that important part of the pitch. And it's shown in his statistics.
I would second Xhaka with David Klaas, and I think as a captain, he's come on real leaps and bounds this season in a vocal sense as well, and for the club to make progression in Europe is only a feather in his cap, because in previous seasons Ajax wasn't really doing that, and he's matured even more, and I think he'll be of interest to many clubs in the summer, and I think I can definitely see him winning it back to back. Yes.
Yeah, I think Klaassen is probably the best player in the Eredivisie. At the moment, other than maybe Hakim Ziyech. But it's interesting that Feyenoord, the top of the league, but you can't really think of one player that's been the ultimate standout and that deserves to be named Dutch Footballer of the Year. I mean, if you look at the squad, you think standouts, you're looking at Jorgensen up front. He's had a terrific season. Almadi in midfield. But I think Klaassen, he has been the standout in the league this season.
You could also pick out Toonstra. I think he's just a few goals or a few assists from having double figures in goals and assists this season. And he's much older, but I think he's a very good technical player. They've used him in midfield. They've used him out wide. But if you think this season about moments, I think Klaassen, that goal against PSV, I think was incredible. And I think he scored the winner against Heerenveen, the winner against Vitesse, and he's just such an important player to Ajax. He also assisted Dolberg's goal against Copenhagen. That's why I think he's such a shoo-in, because when you talk about someone that comes up big for his team in the crucial moments, I think you're going to have to sort of think of David Klaassen for Ajax.
I think one player, though, that might be in a rush out, maybe in second or third, is Botteghin. I think he came second when Wijnaldum won it 2 years ago. And they say crucial moments. I mean, he scored the winner against PSV. Really got him on the march to the top, and I think he's been excellent at the back. That's why I wouldn't be too against him getting called up to the Dutch national team, because I think he's a terrific player.
I think to quickly go back on Toonstra, I think you have to remember it's only 4 years ago that he was still playing for ADO Den Haag, and then went to Utrecht and then on to Feyenoord. And he's as a player, he's come on leaps and bounds in terms of assists and being dangerous and being more creative and having a presence. Because there was a time when he's played over 100 games for ADO Den Haag, and there was a time where people doubted if he could really kick on and become even better, and he's proved those people wrong by becoming a very important element for Feyenoord.
And the Dutch national team now, he's in the squad. He knows he might be even get a game in the next 2 games.
Certainly. I think we're underrating Nick Viergever again, though, who's been epic for Ajax this season at the back, next to Sanchez. He's been a leader that Ajax needed, and as well trying to help Sanchez settle into the team. he didn't have the most fight-led roles in the past, playing in defensive midfield or at left back. But when he was at RZ, he was always a very capable defender. And I'm just glad to see him now at Ajax performing as well as he can. And I think he fully deserves that national team call-up. Why not put him in the hat for the Dutch Football of the Year as well?
Good point.
And you've also got a Young Player of the Year award that was nominated at the same time, but I think if you're looking at that, you're looking at Dolberg. I think you might have that wrapped up.
Yeah.
We've got one last question from Twitter, from Derek. He asks, who do you think has been the greatest influence on Dutch football besides the obvious Cruyff and Michels? Myself, I'd say Ronald Koeman. What about you? What about you three? Tough one, isn't it? I think Koeman because he's was one of the first defenders really to score as many goals as he did. To be key for Dutch football, national team front and on the league front, Europe as well, winning as many trophies as he did. Then as a manager as well, he has not only led the top three in the Netherlands, he's led RZ. I think he's just had a massive influence on several clubs throughout the country. And now he's abroad as well at Everton. He's a leader for future managers looking ahead to going abroad. He's done a really good job at Southampton and now Everton. I think he's had a massive influence below the real big names, the massive names.
I would go with Marco van Basten. Slightly under the obvious names, but I think purely for his inspiration and how many Dutch players that he inspired with his fantastic performances for Ajax and Milan, and being so pure as a striker and being so with fantastic goals and being fully motivated to score as many goals as possible and having a real killer instinct. I think for the amount of Dutch players, even playing now when they were growing up, that he inspired, and I'm not being biased because I'm an Arsenal fan, but also Dennis Bergkamp as well. I think for the pure artistry of how that man plays football. I mean, I've been an Arsenal fan for 28 years, but not just because Bergkamp is Dutch, but he's far and away the greatest Arsenal player I've ever seen. So my two names in that respect would be Marco van Basten and Dennis Bergkamp.
I think mine would be Jack Reynolds. He was an Englishman that played in the 1800s. He came to coach Ajax before and after the World Wars, and he coached Rinus Michels, and he sort of set about implementing a total football, which was developed by Michels, and he sort of started to sow the seeds for Ajax as a professional football club. And he also went on to coach the Netherlands, and I think he's very important to the history of Dutch football. And with him, there may not be total football as we know it. And I think I really like Louis van Gaal. I think because of the way things ended at Manchester United, we don't give him the respect that he's due. I think the style that he used at Ajax to win in 1996, it's still very much prevalent in modern day Dutch football, and it's highly regarded. And going to Barcelona and bringing so many Dutch players with him too, the Ruud Hesps, the Cocu's of the Ruud Hesps and the Cocu's of the world. And I think a lot of sort of the younger managers aspire to have his tactical nous, and a lot of the younger managers can learn a lot from him. And I think he should. And there's also sort of the things that happened later in his career, winning the the Eredivisie with AZ, and also the 2010 World Cup, doing it with a team that was on the slide. And I mean the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, with the Dutch national team finishing third. I think that's something that should be respected about him.
I agree with all his picks so far. I would have said Van Basten as well. I think it's generations that will inspire. I think Cruyff inspired the Van Bastens. Van Basten inspired the next generation, the Van Persies, the Bergkamps, the Kluiverts. And then this generation is getting inspired by the Bergkamps. Louis van Gaal is a big one, and I think one player that doesn't get maybe the respect that he deserves because he's part of that Cruyff era was Johan Neeskens. I think he inspired a lot of Dutch midfielders, and I think he had a big part as well to play. When Frank Rijkaard was in charge of Barcelona, he brought Neeskens to the club as one of his coaches. I think he helped a lot with their success at that club. I think he doesn't do a lot of work in football these days, so I think he's one that has a big influence. Go back to the 70s. Frank Rijkaard as well. I think an iconic midfielder, AC Milan, of Rijkaard, Gullit, and Van Basten up front. I think that inspired a lot of people to love the way the Dutch football was played in the early 90s, and I think a lot of people are actually Dutch football fans because of that side that played in the 80s and that Milan side that played in the 90s.
Some excellent choices.
I would like to make a quick point and praise the Excelsior Rotterdam manager Mitchell van der Gaag. I think, yes, it was 2 points dropped for Ajax against Excelsior. It's a great point for Excelsior. I stated in previous pods that I actually think they're going to stay up. They have 7 games left where they play ADO Den Haag, Nijmegen, Zwolle, and also the derby against Sparta. And I think in those games, Excelsior will accrue enough points to stay up. And also for the manager as well, people forget Mitchell van der Gaag managed in Portugal for 5 seasons with Maritimo, and he also he played for Maritimo, my mistake, and he also managed him as well as Belenenses as well. And I just think he's underrated. I think should Excelsior stay up, I think you'll know the name of Mitchell van der Gaag, and I can see him going places in the future.
I think what he's done with Jordi Dabai, who is a sort of a hulking defender from PSV on loan at Excelsior, who played so well. Although Traore didn't trouble him much, he played so well. He got 4 really important tackles against Ajax, and I think he broke his wrist in the process. And I think Excelsior have a lot of talented players. They've got Hicham Vig. I was surprised not to see Hasselbank starting, but he came on. And I still have them picked to go down, but the Ajax performance could give them a lot of confidence going forward.
I think it's interesting today as well that Go Ahead Eagles have sacked Hans de Koning with 7 games to go, and whoever gets that position until the end of the season's got a hell of a job to try and keep them up. The next 2 games after the international break, they're away against FC Twente and they're away against Feyenoord. That's the hardest start any coach could probably hope for that's coming in for a club at the bottom of the table.
I haven't heard from this end. There's been no mention of any potential names for the go-ahead job, although I did hear on the radio today, Radio 538 in the Netherlands, that Robert Molenaar, the outgoing manager of FC Volendam, is in the picture to take over from Ron Jans at PEC Zwolle. So maybe that will be starting a managerial merry-go-round a little bit early.
I just want to say as well, yesterday some quotes were picked up again from Frank Rijkaard basically confirming once again that he's done with coaching. That's it. He's not returning, which I think is a big shame. But it's also interesting that he actually said in the comments that he doesn't actually see himself as a coach. He says he's done it for 14 years, but he never actually really sat well with him. I think that's very interesting, considering how many people think. Ronaldinho came out a couple of weeks ago saying that Frank Rijkaard was the best coach he ever had. And Rijkaard's coming out saying that he didn't even think he's a good coach. I think it's just a sad way to end your career the way it did with Saudi Arabia, considering what he did with Barcelona. I think it'd be quite good to end on some predictions for the Holland-Bulgaria game.
I agree.
To go around words.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point.
I personally think 2-0 to the Netherlands. I think it'll be quite a comfortable match, and not because the Dutch are particularly good with the manager they have, but because Bulgaria won't offer much of a challenge. I don't think. I think they might raise the game a little for the visit of the Dutch, but I don't think it's going to really trouble them that much. I hope.
I think I'm very optimistic about the fact that Arjen Robben's back. I think him being in the side, him being out of the side is two totally different teams. And with him back, I can see it being more of a comfortable win for Netherlands. I'm going possibly 3-0. But I can see the game against Italy possibly being a draw. I'm going for 1-1 with that one.
I think 3-1 against Bulgaria. I believe Bulgaria would definitely score, and the defending for that goal would be appalling. Italy, I see Italy winning 2-0, and I see them winning 2-0 quite comfortably, because I think right now they've got the much better team, more well-rounded certainly, and short of a surprise, they should win comfortably.
I will go for a 2-1 win against Bulgaria. I also think that Bulgaria will score, and I will go for a 3-1 home defeat in the friendly against Italy.
I personally can see the Dutch falling down to a 2-1 defeat at home to Italy. I think I can grab a goal. They have plenty of talent to get a goal, but I can't see them either holding a lead, holding onto a draw. I mean, it's a friendly. The Italians want to be desperate for a win, but they certainly have a tactical nous to beat the Dutch, because it's still quite a tactically immature Dutch side that I can see getting overrun by the Italian talent, to be honest.
It really depends on what team Finland are against Italy, because I think De Vrij, he's got a bit of a knock today in training. Strippman's a bit ill. Doubt and Robin will play, so I think it's going to be a second string Netherlands side. But I mean, that gives a chance to people like Lons, who's doing really well in Turkey at the moment, or even Bastos. If he doesn't start against Bulgaria, he might start against Italy. Same with Memphis. If these players have all got points to prove to Blend, you're going to get a perfect opportunity at home against Italy to go and show what you're made of.
I think it'll be important for the crowd as well, and for the home supporters, that the national team put in a good performance at home. I think that's. I think people going to the game on Tuesday, yes, they would love the Netherlands to win against a very strong European side, but I think for the majority of them going there, they want to see a good home performance, because that there's been quite some time since that's last taken place.
I think it's interesting as well that the next home World Cup game is actually in Rotterdam. They're actually playing at the Kuip, and maybe the KNVB have noticed that the atmosphere at the Amsterdam Arena right now is not the greatest, and that's why they're thinking of the Kuip, and the Philips Stadion as well could be another choice for the future.
When they played Belarus in the Kuip, where Promes got that brace and Janssen got a good goal, the atmosphere was incredible, and I think the sort of size of the pitch sort of seemed to help them sort of contain play, sort of move the ball more directly and things like that. So I think it will be clever to play a lot of the home games going forward again at the Kuip.
Just to elaborate on that, as far as I'm aware, the choice of the Amsterdam Arena was purely for commercial reasons as the years have gone by, and I think they're reverting back to the old tactic they used to use in qualifying matches, where they would rotate between the Kuip, Amsterdam Arena, and Philipsstadion, and from PSV. I think they're reverting to the tactic of rotating between those three stadiums, whereas in previous and recent years it's been due to commercial reasons, for sponsors, for example, and to have the most amount of people in attendance, that the Amsterdam Arena has been deliberately chosen.
Thanks again, everyone, for listening this week. We've appreciated you listening to our podcast. Please give us a like on YouTube, iTunes, or SoundCloud. Subscribe to us as well, wherever you've been listening. And give us some comments about what you think about the podcast and any questions that you'd have for next week. Thank you very much. Bye.